If you run a cash-heavy business, you know the end of the day count is one of those things that just eats up a ton of time. And one mistake means the whole thing is off. What if you could just dump a mixed stack of bills in and have it counted, sorted, and verified in seconds? So let's go over the IMC21 money counter. I'm gonna go over all the key features of this money counter and the security on this thing, and then demo all the different counting modes it has, and just go over all the different features that this money counter has, and talk about who this money counter is for, all to help you make a better informed buying decision for your money counter. There's also something about how this handles suspect bills that I think is really smart, and I'll show you that in the demo. Okay, so this is the IMC21. It is a mixed denomination bill counter machine. So that means you don't need to sort your bills beforehand. You just load a mixed stack and it counts everything, gives you the total value, and breaks it down by denomination. It also does counterfeit detection, supports multiple currencies, and connects to a computer or printer for record keeping. Okay, so let's just have a little bit of a closer look at the machine. Okay, so here's the machine. Again, we'll go over a demo of everything, so if you wanna see a demo of just this in action and all the different modes, you can go ahead and skip forward in the video. So just having a look at the machine itself first, the build quality here feels really sturdy. You know, it's got some weight to it. It's 17.5 pounds, but it's actually lighter than you'd expect for a machine like this. And you can move it between rooms really easily. Go ahead and flip this up. We have a handle on top right here. Makes it easy to carry. And it has that built-in touchscreen right here. Also has buttons on the side as well, in case you don't want to use the touchscreen. Okay, and it also comes with an external display. So you can just hook that up in the back, and you can have the number of pieces and the total value as well. Let's go ahead and turn this around so we can see the back. Here's the back of the machine. So we have the on button, power outlet, and then right here is where we can connect the printer, the USB-A port, and this is where we connect the external screen. Okay, and then we can remove the back here to clean it really easily. And then the dimensions of this thing are 10 by 10 by 10.5 inches. So it's roughly the size of a small microwave. So it'll fit on your desk. It's on my desk right now, and it won't take up too much space. Okay, so the big thing with this machine is the security. It has what they call 11-layer security checks, and it uses CIS, UV, IR, MG, and MT sensors. And what that means is it's checking for magnetic ink, infrared patterns, security lines, the actual dimensions and thickness of each bill, variable ink, spectrum analysis, and fluorescence. So it's doing a lot of verification on every single bill that passes through. Incredibly important here. So this is bank grade level detection, kind of thing that catches even really good counterfeits like super dollars. So you can have that real confidence that every bill that passes through this machine is legitimate. And what's really nice is how it handles suspect bills. Instead of just beeping and stopping, it stops right on the questionable bill. So it's sitting right on top of the stack, and you can immediately pull it out and inspect it. So you know exactly which bill triggered the alert. There's no guessing, no having to go back through the whole stack to figure out which bill, was the problem, which saves you a lot of time. It also has serial number tracking. So if you've got a situation where someone is passing duplicate bills through your register, this will catch that. And the service menu is password protected, so only authorized people can change the machine's settings. That's an important detail if you've got multiple employees using it. Okay, so this processes 800 to 1,200 bills per minute with 99.9% accuracy. So to put that in perspective, that's roughly 15 times faster than doing it by hand. So a week's worth of register deposits can be done in only a couple of minutes. And that 99.9% accuracy is important when you're running thousands of bills through this every single day. Even a small error rate adds up fast at that volume. So having that level of accuracy means you can trust the totals without having to double check everything. You can also adjust the counting speed from moderately fast all the way up to the full speed, depending on the condition of your bills and how fast you want it to go. And it handles worn out or slightly damaged bills without any issues, which is really nice if you're dealing with, bills that have been circulating for a while. So on the reliability side, the jam rate is really low, roughly 1 in every 1,000 bills, and it does stop for an error. The machine automatically cycles through itself a couple of times to make sure no bills are stuck inside. So you're never losing a bill in the machine, which is really important, of course, when every dollar needs to be accounted for. And this level of accuracy and reliability holds up over months of heavy daily use, I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars flowing through this every day with no miscounts. So it's not just fast out of the box, it stays accurate long term. So this machine has several different counting modes. You've got the MDC mode for mixed denomination counting. You have the SDVC mode, single denomination version counting mode. And again, we'll go over a demo of those in a second here so you can really understand what those counting modes are. There's also an automatic and manual mode. So the auto mode, you just want to put the bills in and then press start and then it'll start going. Okay, so out of the box, it supports USD and a few other main currencies like euros. But you can also upgrade it to handle up to 120 different currencies. So the upgrades are free through the company and you just have to contact them. So, if you run a business near the border or deal with international customers, that's a really useful feature to have. There's also some cool features that we'll go over in the demo that talk about just how we can adjust the currency and set it to auto and just makes this money counter just that much better. Okay, so you can also connect this to a computer via USB to transfer your counting data or print reports directly using the brand's printer. You would have to purchase that separately though. And what that gives you is a full record of every count. So at the end of the day, you've got your documentation for your bank deposits, your bookkeeping and your records. And if there's ever a discrepancy or you need to look back at what was counted on a specific day, you've got that paper trail. And as mentioned, it comes with the external display here. And this can face towards the customer or a second person. So if someone's watching you count their cash, they can see the totals in real time. That adds a layer of transparency and trust, which is really nice if you're doing transactions face to face. Okay, so in the box, you of course get the machine itself. You get a user manual, you get the external display, you get a thumb drive, and the thumb drive, this has a software on it for connecting to your computer and doing updates. So everything you need to get started. And you also get a little cleaning kit as well. And then you get an extra fuse. So that's a really nice touch. Of course, if this thing goes out and blows a fuse, you can just replace it really easily. And just having that handy. Of course, when you're counting money, you never want it to fail. But if the fuse does bust, then you can use this. So on the support side, the brand gives you a 2-year quality protection plan, and they have local repair centers within the United States if you ever need service. You also get lifetime software upgrades and 24-hour technical support on weekdays. Okay, so let's go into the demo of me using this money counter. Okay, so it's starting up now. And we're ready to go here. So let's go through the different modes, pull this a little bit closer so you can see the screen. Okay, so the display here, we have the counting mode right here. Then we have the accumulation status in the CFD level right here. And then this number is for the number of banknotes. And then right here is the counted amount. Then we have the counting speed. Then we have the batch. Then we have whether we want it to auto count the bills or not. So when we put the bills in on top here, whether we need to press start or just automatically does it. Then our menu, and then we have the number of rejected banknotes and then the auto detecting a status of the currency. Okay, so let's go over the different modes here. So when you turn it on, it'll be default to the MDC mode. You can also change the mode by pressing this button here as well. And pressing up here on the touchscreen. So the MDC mode, this is the multiple denominations counting mode. And in this mode, it'll count the banknotes of all denominations of the selected currency and save the detailed information of how many notes there are, as well as the total. So how much money it is. And then we have our 3 modes. So we have 800, 1200, and 1000 pieces a minute. Okay, so really simple mode here. This is probably one of the most common modes. So here's all our money, 1s, 20s, 100s, 5s, 10s. It's a 50 in here somewhere. So just go ahead and put that on in. And right now we have it on auto. So as soon as we put the money in, it's gonna count. We can also change auto off and then we'd have to press the start button. So let's go ahead and actually do it without the auto so you can see it. Put the money in, press start. And there we go, we have 23 notes, totaling $462. You can see the numbers right there. So that worked perfectly. Okay, next mode, we have the CNT mode. So this is the count mode. In this mode, does not limit the currency and only counts the number of banknotes. And it only works with double note detection function and no other counterfeit detection function. And in this mode, it has the 3 counting speeds, so you can cycle through those. So we can just go ahead and count those. So it'll just give the total number of pieces. We'll put the same number of bills in there, 23, and it should come back with just 23. Okay, make sure it's in there and press start. Okay, and there we go. You have 23 on both the external screen and here as well. So when you are on the auto mode, you want to make sure you put in the notes right where it's supposed to be. So you'll see the slot right here. So for example, if I just kind of just throw them in there like that, it's gonna get stuck. It's gonna be a chain error. So you wanna make sure you're putting the bills in straight. And it'll work just fine. Okay, then we can go to the SDC mode. So this is the single denomination counting mode. And in this mode, it'll use the first recognized banknote as the denomination reference and automatically identify and count banknotes of the same denomination in the batch. And it also saves the number of bills as well as the total. You can also use the 3 counting speeds as well with this. So let's go ahead and get our 20s and 1s here so we can show you. So go ahead and get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So go ahead and put the 20 kind of at the end here. So this one right here is the first recognized note in the machine. I'll just show you what it does here. So we'll turn the auto on. That way we don't have to press start every time. Okay, so right here, this top note right here is the 20. So go ahead and show you. Go ahead and pull that out and it'll continue counting. So there's the 20 on top, so it stops when it gets to the note that is not the same as the first note. This was the first note that went into the machine, and it stopped there, and it had the count, it had the pieces, it had the total, and then we can see now we have the final total of the 7 $1 bills. There's all 7. We can see the totals are correct, 7, 7, and 7, 7. So we can show you that again. So let's put this as the second note, and then put the rest of the $1 bills on top. So again, it's gonna read this note, so this is the note that should be passing through. Okay, perfect. That stopped at 2 bills. So we have 1 bill, $1, and then the 20s on top right here. And I'll continue counting. And again, 7, 7. Okay, now the SDCV mode. So this is very similar to the SDC mode, except it's gonna stop when it hits a different currency as well. So have a euro right here. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna have 7 of them. Then we're gonna put in a €5 note. We'll put that in the middle here, right? So the first one that's gonna read is the dollar. I'm gonna put that in. Stops, and we can see the euro right there. And then it spits out the rest of the bills, 7, 7, 7, 7. Okay, and then also, like I said, it's very similar to the first function. So we add the 20 back in here as well, and it'll function just like that. Okay, so then we have our $20 bill. And then 7, 7. And this can also be combined as well. So it does both the banknote version as well as the denomination. So we can go ahead and put this one, second bill, the 20. So it'll catch both of these in this mode, the SDCV mode. Put it in. Okay, there's our 20. And then it stopped at the euro. And then 7, 7, 7, 7. So it catches all of those. It's really easy to find out which different denominations and which different currencies are in the stack that you put in. Okay, so let's pull this in a little bit closer. So one thing to note here about the currencies. So we also have automatic recognition mode. So as you saw, when the money counter processes the banknotes, the first one that gets passed through is the one that sets which other banknotes should be recognized. But we can go ahead and change the currency right here. Just press up here, and we can change the different currencies. We can choose from them here. We can also choose the auto. So when we're in auto, we just have our dollar bills here. There we go. We're still in SDCV mode. Let's go ahead and change that. Let's go back to MDC mode. So you can see that it caught that it was USD. Then we go ahead and put in our euro. And then it switches to euro. We can also use the button up here as well. Okay, so some more features. So we can go ahead and put the money in, just count it. Also click on the screen right here, or press the REP button. And we get the different details of all the notes. So we can see the denominations, pieces, and amount. We can back out of that by pressing escape or up here. Okay, and then we have the batch option. So we can go ahead and press right here, and we can batch the number of notes. So let's say we just want to have 10 come out, 10 different notes. We can do that. So I'll put in the whole stack here of 23 bills. There we go, we got our 10. And then another 10, and then the rest of the 3. Okay, and then we have the face and orient function. Turn on the face and orient function here. See, it says face. And this can be used in the SDC, MDC, and SDCV modes. And the face feature can identify whether a banknote is face up or face down. using the first banknote as a reference. So if the banknote passing through the machine is face up, all face up banknotes in the cassette will eventually enter the stacker, while other banknotes will automatically stop and trigger an alarm. So the total number and value of the banknotes will be displayed on the main screen. Okay, so we have 4 $1 bills. We'll put one face down, put it on in, and then it'll stop on the face up note right here. Then we had 1 bill left. And so this is one that was face down. We'd see it just counted the 3 notes for $3. Okay, and then the Orient function can cycle to that just by pressing this button again there. It'll say ORI, and this works in the SDC, MDC, and SDC modes. And the Orient function allows you to count and sort banknotes according to one of 8 possible directions. So the counting direction is determined by the orientation of the first banknote, like all the modes. So if a banknote passes through the machine and its orientation does not match the direction set by the first banknote, the machine will automatically stop. So pretty self-explanatory there. Let's get all of these facing the right way except one of them, right? So we'll have the second to last one just be up like that. This is our first one, second one, third one. Right? So there we can see that was upside down. And it counted correctly, 3 and 3 again. Okay, so that was a demo of many of the main features that you'll be using on this money counter. So what I like about this money counter, so the mixed denomination counting is the real star here. You know, no pre-sorting saves you a huge amount of time, especially if you're processing hundreds or even thousands of bills every day. The accuracy is solid. You know, I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars flowing through, you know, this daily with no miscounting, even after months of use. And the counterfeit detection is really well implemented. The way it stops on the exact bill that triggered the alert, that's something that you don't always get with counters in this range. It's also surprisingly portable. You know, despite it looking like a serious piece of equipment, it's not as heavy as you would think, although it's not light, but moving it in between, rooms or stations is really doable, especially with the handle. And of course, the build quality is really solid. The physical buttons alongside the touchscreen means if, one method fails, you've got a backup, which is, a really good business tool, which is, of course, really smart to have. One thing that could be improved is it doesn't count coins, it's bills only. So if you deal with a lot of change, you'll need a separate coin counter for that. Also, the advanced features and modes do take a little time to learn. The basic MDC counting works perfectly right out of the box, as you saw, really easy to understand. But if you want to get into some of the sorting modes that I discussed, it might be a little bit of a learning curve. I explain them all and I demo them for you, but it might just take a little bit of tinkering around with just to fully understand them. And I'd recommend cleaning the rollers, about once a month if you're running thousands of bills through it daily. Just keep that in mind for maintenance. So who should get this? So if you run a retail store or shop where you're doing register deposits every day, this handles that really well. Load the mixed bills, get your total, get your breakdown, and prep the deposit. Also, if you own a laundromat, a restaurant, or any small to medium business where cash is flowing through daily, this takes one of the most tedious end-of-day tasks and cuts it down to minutes. If you deal with multiple currencies, maybe you're near the border or have international customers, the multi-currency support makes this way more versatile than a basic counter. So if you're just doing the occasional personal cash counts and don't handle cash as part of a business, this is probably more a machine than you need. Something simpler and less expensive would work fine for that. So in my opinion, the IMC21 is a really solid money counter for any cash-heavy business. The mixed denomination counting alone saves a huge amount of time, and the counterfeit detection gives you the extra layer of confidence that your cash is legitimate. It's one of those tools that pays for itself pretty quickly, just in the time you save and the errors you prevent. If you're processing cash on a daily basis and want something reliable, this is definitely worth checking out.